So depending on if you want to see the cup half full or half empty, right? So yeah, we're win now mode. We could have gotten Makai Lemon. We could have, really gotten, a really great receiver, especially like with Devontae Adams being a lot older and uncertainty of Puka. The guys in rehab and all that shit. So, but to be honest, to be able to sit behind Matthew Stafford and we have him for 5 years on a quarterback rookie deal, we're never going to pick in the top 10 unless something like really drastic happens during the season. Um, so I like the pick. I mean, I know they say he only started 15 games, but he's gonna sit out a full season, maybe even two, depending on Matthew Stafford. But
Hmm.
and then you just gotta trust that the Rams are pretty much they hit on almost every pick. Either they're a decent, solid player, or they turn out to be really, really great players. So they have a really good track record. But a little side story that I heard was there was a little rift between McVay and Les Snead, not Les Snead, uh, the GM. I forget his name. I can't think of his name right now. But supposedly the GM, he had like some sort of relationship with Ty Simpson's dad that goes way back,
Oh
and so it's
shit.
almost like, yeah, I'm gonna draft your son, because I fuck with you like that. And so, the story is Sean McVay really wasn't on board with that pick, and that's why, um, the the body language after the draft was not there. They're really looking into that. So, hopefully it doesn't cause too much of a rift because Sean McVay and that GM man, they got a good team going. Yeah, Leslie, there you go. That is his name, Leslie.
Let's move.
So yeah, so um, but we'll see what happens. I mean, NFL quarterbacks are not like MLB players or NBA players where like, they're just free agents, Pro Bowl free agents just available to sign.
Exactly.
So you either gotta get lucky in the draft or, trade the farm, to see if you can get a pick. But yeah, I mean next year is the draft where all the really good quarterbacks are coming. I think there's like four or five that they say is like gonna be in the that could be a potential first pick. Sorry, first round.
But yeah, but I mean, but
Hold,
like you said though,
hold
like
on, Mitch.
who's this?
Mitch, hold on 1 second. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back and get your thoughts. All right, we're back. Mitch was just about to give his take on that Rams pick. What were you saying, Mitch?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like Elvis mentioned. I mean, even though next season, next draft is supposed to be like really good for quarterbacks and super deep and whatever. It's who's to say that the Rams will pick high, next season, like what I mean. So it's like, and then Anthony, I mean, you laid it out. Like if you see if you see the quarterback of the future in the draft, I feel like you have to take him. Like, imagine, like, can you imagine all the teams that you mentioned? Imagine the Ravens with no Lamar. You know what I mean? Imagine the Packers all those years with no Aaron Rodgers, all because they already had Brett Favre.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine the Packers now after Aaron Rodgers leaves, um, all because they already had Aaron Rodgers and they didn't take Jordan Love. All to just protect Aaron Rodgers' feelings. So I mean, yeah,
And the
like if
and the worst thing you can do is fall into what Pittsburgh has fallen into after Ben Roethlisberger, right? Like
yeah,
they just can't seem to find, you know, like you expect it from the Giants. I mean, sorry, the Jets and all these other like bottom feed franchise, but like the fact that Mike Tomlin was always able to just make it to the playoffs with like second class quarterback is crazy. So they just sometimes. I mean, like the Packers, right? Is it luck or is it just a competent franchise that they went from in 30 years, they went from Brett Favre
Or
to Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love and didn't miss a
you
beat,
know,
right? And
yeah.
then um,
Now,
you got
Jordan
these
Love
other
isn't as good as those two guys, but yeah,
no, but he's good enough
he's
to
good
make
enough.
your franchise,
Yeah.
respectable. So, you know,
My
Yeah,
my take on Jordan Love has always been, because I get to see him 2 games a year. He's like, it's just he always makes that one, big mistake when you're not supposed to make a big mistake. That's always been my knock on him. He's always going to throw a pick, at the worst possible time.
yeah,
And I can always, in a close game against us, I can always count on Jordan Love to throw me an interception or at least put the ball in harm's way. You know what I mean? So that's always been my knock on him.
yeah. I think the thing about Tyson, like I said, I like him, but only having 15 starts thing, I think that usually doesn't work out when they only start for one season. Like, or Mark Sanchez. Remember guys when Mark Sanchez was coming out and he only started that one
yeah,
season, and Pete was like,
yeah. And even Pete Carroll called it
yeah,
like
he was like, I don't think
they
it's
were calling and they were calling Pete Carroll a hater.
and then he ended up,
Yeah,
he
but
made it.
but if you expect them to start right away, then that's what really comes into play. But
Yeah,
he's gonna, barring an injury from Matthew Stafford, you know, um,
he's gonna sit and learn.
he's gonna sit and learn at least for sure a full year.
Right.
At least one to
You know,
one to
Yeah, but
two.
it's just the question is he a high end? Because I think like if he had gone to the Jets,
oh,
and the Jets didn't even want him, right? If he had gone to the Jets,
no.
that would have been just another disaster, right?
Well,
It's just how
yeah,
much can Sean McVay get out of this kid? That's the
yeah.
question.
I mean, the only one thing real quick before it's like they could have really drafted a ready now player because next year's class is so loaded that you can't tell me that they would have had a first round pick or even a high second round pick. You can't tell me. Let me go through this QB class real quick. I mean, it's just like, bro, it's crazy. It's Dante Moore, Archie Manning, that kid
Oh,
Sellers, who's supposed to be really good, Julian Sain from Ohio State, Sorsby, Trinidad Chavez, who looks really good. Um, and then they got that kid from Oklahoma State, and we're not even mentioning Jaden Maivia from USC, right? I know Wilson would love that pick, right?
No,
It's
actually,
like,
Jaden Miami, I'm not much of a fan really.
really?
No, I've said it 10 times on here that Jaden Miami is to me a pretty good college quarterback. When I saw something that said that he might be, he's like he said he's gonna be a. It's like I don't put him in that crop of, and I don't know if
Yeah.
any of those, to
But
me, I don't
but
think
out of all those, but out of all those quarterbacks, you can't tell me they're not as good as Ty Simpson could be.
right.
I mean, they
Ty
must
Simpson,
have seen something. Unless,
I think I probably would probably prefer Arch Manning and Dante Moore to Ty
well, yeah,
Simpson
of
as an
course,
NFL
yeah,
player.
no, that of course, but you're not gonna pick high enough to get your
But
hands
I
on
don't
them.
know if they'll be, like I don't know. It just but I'm trying to think. When's the last time there was a quarterback who was just like a no brainer? Um,
Fernando Mendoza, because the draft class was so weak.
I mean, yeah, but like, do we know that Mendoza will be a, like I like, I mean, I like
Mm,
what he did
no,
this
I see
year.
what you're saying. Like a for sure, no questions asked.
Yeah, like a
Pro-
all pro. Do we
Yeah,
know that he's gonna be
yeah.
that, or is it,
No,
um,
probably since Joe Burrow, maybe.
right? Joe Burrow was a god in college, and you see how good he's turned out to be. But since
Yeah,
then, and I kind of I like to me, I think Mendoza had the best overall season in college last year since Burrow that year at LSU. But I
yeah,
don't know if they're similar, like I said, but I don't know if I
Yeah.
was hoping they would get
If there's anything the NBA and the NFL draft has taught us is there's no for sure thing.
right.